Hey everybody, this is Bruce Bishop from ChronicleT.com. We're back once again with Matt Douglas and Tim Alcorn from AM 930 WEOL. Quick note, I think that's the first time I've done that right in the last 4 shows.
Congratulations. Sir.
That's right.
We're still on take 1.
There you go. All right, guys, playoff football time. Let's have a little look at how things went last week. It was pretty good.
It was very, very good as far as Lorain County was concerned. The county went 4-1 as far as first-round playoff action was concerned, and even a team that we cover outside of the county, down in Medina County, Buckeye, they got a huge win. So as far as WEOL's coverage area is concerned, we got 5 winners last weekend. On Friday night, Avon Lake with a very impressive win over Olmsted Falls. That was our radio game on WEOL. A tremendous performance by that outstanding Avon Lake running back in Connor Riggs. You've talked about him all year long, Matt Douglas. He was just sensational, and their defense really shut down that Olmsted Falls triple option offense. So Avon Lake moves on, and then Avon with a very impressive win on their home field as they knocked off Holland Springfield. I know you were there for that one.
Yeah, 49-14. They ended up knocking off Holland Springfield. Devin Johnson was the big threat for the Blue Devils. Had a touchdown in the game, but really, after that first quarter, they kept it away from him, made sure he didn't get any big yards. Defense absolutely stunning in that game, forced 3 turnovers in the third quarter, another, or I should say in the second quarter, another in the third quarter. And really, it was a tremendous all-around game. Another 100 and some yards on the game for Nick Perusic, 150 passing for Ryan Malloy. You can't do much better than what Avon did.
So they move on, and the only Lorain County team that went down to defeat this weekend, the Columbia Raiders, boy, they knew they were running into a great football team in Mogadore, and Mogadore blanked Columbia on Friday night 35-0. But that doesn't take anything away from what was a tremendous season for the Columbia Raiders. And, of course, the great career of Brandon Coleman comes to an end, but over 5,000 career rushing yards as a Columbia Raider. So we're disappointed that their season came to an end, but we congratulate them on what was a tremendous campaign and, again, an unbelievable career for Brandon Coleman.
Yeah, especially around here. When you talk about Division 6, there's 2 teams that come to the top. That's Mogadore, that's Kirtland. Both of those guys, Columbia had to play this season. They had a great year. I mean, they had some rough losses down the road, though. A couple, I know Jason Ward wishes he could have back, especially that Buckeye game. But what a tremendous season they had, and Brandon Coleman, a tremendous career. It's going to be a while, I think, before we see a running back like that again in Lorain County. So, I mean, all 4 years, he was their starting running back over there and played both sides of the ball. And I don't know if there's another guy who played both positions quite like he did. He's one of the better linebackers, I think, in the county.
I was just going to say, at the collegiate level, as we talk about the unbelievable numbers that Brandon Coleman put up on the rushing side, when he goes on to play college football, and he will play college football, most people think it will be as a linebacker or as a safety. He'll actually play on the defensive side of the ball. So perhaps his days of running the football have come to an end. And then, of course, Saturday night, 2 more Lorain County teams with victories on their home field. Clearview over at Tom Hoke Field with a very impressive win against Sparta Highland. So the Clippers are moving on. And then one of the greatest high school football games I've ever had the pleasure of calling on WEOL, Elyria Catholic in the mud over at Knights of Columbus Field took on an Anna team. I could do a whole hour on this video talking about that game on Saturday night, but the Panthers with an improbable 42-35 win. Just a great ball game. Again, as I said, we could talk about it all afternoon, all night, and all morning. Leighton Banjoff with another one of those stellar performances for Elyria Catholic, but there were big plays all over the field. Cam English, Jared France. I mean, just huge play after huge play. One of the best games I've ever seen. It was unbelievable.
I mean, I don't know what more you say about that. I don't know if Elyria Catholic likes playing against teams called the Rockets, but they had 2 great games this year against Bay, and then picking up the win against Dana, who was 7th in the state going into that game last Saturday night. So great win for Elyria Catholic, and there's a reason they're moving on. They're playing really well under Coach Fox.
Yeah, so it's awesome for Lorain County, Bruce. 4 county teams moving on: Avon Lake, Avon, Elyria Catholic, and Clearview.
Awesome. Okay, well, continuing on the theme of the greatest game you ever saw, let's talk about the Orthopedic Associate Plays of the Week. I have a feeling we're going to be talking a little more about EC.
Yeah. Yeah, do you want me to start? Is it my week?
Well, you were talking a little bit about EC. I think it's mine, but I'll defer to you if you want to take it. I mean, you were at that game.
I don't know how to pick out one singular play from that Elyria Catholic game. It was just a phenomenal contest. Back and forth these two teams went. But if I have to pick one, and as great as Leighton Banjos' performance was, and as terrific as Cam English was, I'm going to pick out a play. So Anna, as you mentioned, just a great team, number 7 in the state. They actually go for 2 with under a minute to go and take the lead on EC by 1 point with under a minute to go. And you thought, boy, in this muddy, just horrible condition, how does EC come back? Well, a kickoff return by Chris Jackson for Elyria Catholic got them back in position to then go down the field and win the game. But Chris Jackson, with the kickoff return in the mud, slipping and sliding all over the place, he got it down to the Anna 40-yard line, and you thought, well, now EC has a shot. And sure enough, they took advantage of it. A big pass play from Cam English to Jared France. And then, of course, it was Leighton Banjoff that slammed it in for the game winner. But I'm going to go for the kickoff return by Jackson for Elyria Catholic. They got the momentum back. All of a sudden, the bench is thinking, now we've got a chance to win this game. So I'm going to go with the kickoff return by Chris Jackson for Elyria Catholic with under a minute to go. Got the ball to the Anna 40-yard line. That's my Orthopedic Associates play of the week. But again, I had about a dozen to choose from, but I'll go with that one.
Yeah, special teams, I think, for Elyria Catholic has been tremendous all year this year, and another great example of why it's been so important. Tim, I'm going to go with the game I was at. Avon ended up knocking off Springfield 49-14, but a fairly close game. It was tied 14-14 after the first quarter of play. I mentioned those 3 turnovers that were forced by Avon on the Blue Devils in quarter number 2, and to me, it was the last one that was so big. The quarter was getting close to winding down. Springfield had come up with a big stop on Avon. They had the ball back, and they were giving it to Josiah Presley, their running back, when all of a sudden one of the Avon Eagles was able to knock the ball free. Jack Resch, who's going to be playing at Air Force Academy next year, able to jump on top of that. He gets the ball back and I think stifled anything that really could get going for the Blue Devils, because you had that feeling if they could get down the field, if they could get another score down, 2 touchdowns, they're right back into it. Instead, it sets up a Ryan Malloy touchdown to end the quarter. So to me, the defense came up big for the Avon Eagles. I think that was the turnaround play for that game. So Jack Resch's fumble recovery, the forced fumble there, to me, that's the Orthopedic Associates play of the week, in my opinion, for the Eagles as they ended up taking out the Blue Devils 49-14.
Jack Resch, Air Force bound.
Yes.
He flew to the football?
Yeah, sure. That's good. I like that.
I had to get that one.
It's like the 6 o'clock news. All right, guys.
Surprised I missed it. Yeah, well done.
So where are you going to be this week?
Wow, we've got another busy week. 5 games between WEOL and WEOL.com and the mobile app, basically identical to last week. 3 games Friday, 2 games Saturday. On the radio side on Friday night, I'll get to watch that Avon defense and that unbelievable offense led by Ryan Malloy and Nick Perusik. It'll be Avon taking on White House Anthony Wayne. That game will be played at Clyde High School. And then on Stream 2 on the mobile app and on WEOL.com, Avon Lake off that very impressive win against Olmsted Falls. The Shoremen have a tough customer, though, on Friday night, Stream 2. They take on Toledo Central Catholic.
That's the top team in the region there. So they're going to be tested in that one. Again, though, I think the Shoremen, they've got a very balanced offense with the run and pass. Jack Mikulich can throw the ball out. Connor Riggs can certainly run it. It's going to come down to that. Can they keep Toledo Central Catholic on their heels enough to get that lead?
And then Stream 3 on Friday night, Buckeye coming off an incredible win themselves. We really didn't talk about this earlier, but Buckeye with a phenomenal victory against Alliance in the closing minutes of the ball game. So Buckeye moves on. They'll be taking on Kenston. So that'll be our Medina County matchup on Friday night, Stream 3. And then we'll turn right around on Saturday. 2 more games on Saturday night. Elyria Catholic off that incredible win last Saturday against Anna. Well, now Elyria Catholic gets the top seed in their region. They get undefeated Genoa. That game on Saturday night over at Bellevue. So we'll have that game on the radio. And then you get to do some play-by-play on Saturday night with the Clearview Clippers.
Indeed. I'm looking forward to this one. You talk about taking on the top seeds. A lot of 3 seeds here in Lorain County, so they're taking on those top seeds, and that's exactly what Clearview's doing against Clear Fork. Tim, this one a bit of a grudge match. Clearview was knocked out of the playoffs last year by Clear Fork in a pretty handy game for the Colts over there in Clear Fork. So I'm looking forward to see what the Clearview Clippers can do this time around. I think they've got a much better offense. Like I mentioned, David Renfley, the guy was a workhorse from my understanding on Saturday night, carrying guys into the end zone. Drew Engel, the all-time leading rusher at Clearview, and that defense for the Clearview Clippers has just been nasty this year. So they've got a much better team. I'm looking forward to seeing what the Clippers can do. Again, we'll have that on stream, too, on Saturday night.
Yeah, so 5 games this weekend between the radio, the mobile app, and online, Bruce.
All right, I'm tuning into that one just to watch Matt say Clearview, Clear Fork, Clearview, Clear Fork,
Right?
Clearview, Clear Fork, over and over again.
That on the way over
It's going to be a good time.
fun,
Listen,
yeah.
it's going to be a good time. All right, so listen, before we wrap it up, when you say, Tim, when you say one of the best games I've ever seen, that says a lot considering you've got, thousands of games under your belt.
I've done a lot of them. Yeah,
Let's get 2 minutes and just tell me why you think that may be, and is it the best game you've ever seen?
Well, it was interesting because Sean Bennett from the Chronicle Telegram, he tweeted out over the weekend, it may have been one of the best games that he's ever covered. It's certainly, talking about Elyria Catholic and Anna, it certainly ranks up there on my list. And the reason I say that, number one, is because the huge game that it was. It's a playoff game. I mean, you win, you move on, you lose, you go home. So there's that added pressure that the kids are playing under. But number two, the level of play under miserable conditions. I mean, if you were over at Knights of Columbus or if you saw some of the pictures that were in the CT, I mean, by the end of the game, those guys were just covered in mud, and yet the level of play was simply outstanding. They really didn't let the conditions get to them. Now, EC did go to that juggernaut formation because the guys, as far as running routes wide receiver-wise, they're slipping and sliding. They really couldn't get to it. So EC said, we're going to go juggernaut, and we're going to go Leighton Banjoff. So it played a part as far as that was concerned. But the overall play, the level of play under the conditions, and certainly with the pressure that was on the guys, and then just the way it unfolded, big play after big play after big play in the fourth quarter, it certainly ranks up there as one of the greatest games I've ever seen. To answer your question, was it the greatest? I've always said, and I don't remember the year, it was just a few years ago, the Midview Avon playoff game that took place a few short years ago, another regional matchup in Division II, may have been the greatest game I ever saw because of the things that I just mentioned. Level of play, the athleticism that the guys showed. That game was in a blizzard. I mean, over at North Royalton High School, Midi fans and Avon fans, they'll remember it well. Midview tied the game with 1 second to go on a touchdown pass to Redwood. Phenomenal game. Midview ends up winning it in overtime. I'd rank that one a hair, and I mean just a sliver above the EC Anna game. Midview Avon would still get my top vote, but man, EC Anna right below it. 2 incredible games, both that I'll remember for a long time.
Sounds good. Hey, when people are done watching football, we need to tell them about Stocker Center and some cool things to see, and then you take it home.
Yeah, okay. Well, again, LCC has been our sponsor throughout the year on this weekly video blitz. Huge thank you to the folks at LCC. And, of course, as we get into November and December, lots of things happening over at the Stocker Center. I know on Sunday, November 11th, the LCC Civic Band will be having a performance, so we invite you to head to the Stocker Center and see that. If you're a movie buff, November 16th, Moonstruck with Cher. Yeah.
She won an Oscar for that,
I
did
believe
she not?
she did.
You got to check that out.
Yeah, that's a great movie. And then, of course, throughout the month of December, boy, the holidays really kick in. It's not holiday season unless you go see the Nutcracker.
That's the truth.
Right?
You got to get the ballets in.
So the Nutcracker throughout the month of December over at Stocker Center. So, again, LCC, so much to offer, including the arts and theater and movies and so forth at Stocker Center. So, hey, in the next month or so, get on over there and check out some of the great things. I know I'll be there on Sunday, November 11th for that band concert. My son's a member of that band.
Nice.
That's not why I'm plugging it, but I'm just telling you, it'll be a great show.
All right, guys, that's it. We're done. I didn't know you were such a ballet fan, Matt.
Yeah, who doesn't like ballet?
Little
I can
did
get
I
into
know.
the arts a little bit.
Little did I know. What a renaissance man.
Yes.
All right.
He's fully rounded.
This time, Tim Alcorn, take us home.
All right. Boy, what a week for high school football. That was just behind us, and that's just ahead of us. So, hey, stay tuned to AM 930 WEOL. But as far as the weekly video blitz is concerned, great big thank you to Mr. Bruce Bishop behind the camera. Matt Douglas, thanks to you. And, of course, the biggest thanks goes to you, the viewers. We hope you loved it, and we've got one more to go. So until we talk again next week, so long, everybody.